Have you ever tried to make a buck bed like a mock scrape?
Yeah, I have, um, with mixed results. But I really think that you can enhance a buck bedding area that's already there, but making beds is not really a great option. I think you could make beds if it's in water and you create a high spot, like some pellets, and then you put dirt on top of them in a cattail marsh. That would definitely become a bedding spot.
Hmm.
And if you did 10 of those in a small, like, quarter-acre spot, you could do it. But the trouble with creating beds, and I always, and I don't mean this to be egotistical or anything, it's just what I've learned over the years of buck bedding. I always laugh when I watch these so-called experts make these videos about making buck beds and making buck bedding areas. And when I used to do a lot of land consultations and go scout people's properties, I'd see some of these properties where these so-called pros would set up beds, and you're looking at, like, the wind's wrong and stuff, and you're like, what are they thinking? Bucks, when they find a bedding area and they bed there, they're doing it based on how the wind flows and how the thermals are, and that's why they're on those edges. That's why they're on spots so you can see out and stuff. And when you try to create that, it's not very easy, and you don't understand what the deer is smelling and what he's seeing, and it's pretty hard to be perfect. I mean, just look at it like this. I mean, you can find a really perfect setup for a buck bed, kill that buck, and the next year another buck will be there. The year after that, another buck will be there. And you can leave that spot and come back 20 years later, and there'll be a buck there, bedding there.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because it's the perfect spot. Everything flows together. Creating that spot, you can create spots where bucks bed, but creating a spot where a 6 or 7 year old deer will bed, that's a pretty difficult task. I think
Yeah.
they have to have everything perfect. I think you're way more likely to find that spot. Now, you can take an area that deer bed, and it ain't necessarily a big buck, and you can enhance it. You can cut some trees. You can put down a tree so that it's laying sideways about where the thermal should occur, and get them to lay beside it. And you can enhance those areas, and that'll bring bucks on your property and bigger bucks. But to actually create a bed, a specific bed, I think is um, doable, but you're not going to do it for mature bucks. It's going to be so rare that you're actually successful in mature bucks that I don't think it's worth the effort.
Yeah. I can't wait for a year from now. Dan gets on here and starts complaining about all the pallets laying around in the marshes.
Yeah,
uh,
that's all you're thinking about is, oh, I got some pellets out there.
I got some pallets now. They make a
Those will work because you create a spot where there's all water.
yeah.
You still should be looking for, like, if you ask me, if you created those pellets from a landmass out into a point, you made them in a point, so they had their point. I mean, they could bed out on the tip one, and the satellites can bed in a little further, and they can know if danger is going to come, it's going to come down that point.
Put like
If you,
outdoor carpet on top of one of them for them.
yeah, I mean, there's ways to do it, and there's ways to make it, but it's just, you know,
Yeah, it's just to be a lot of work, wouldn't it?
it's
For
a
what it
lot of
is.
work, and the likelihood of creating some perfect place, unless you have the perfect scenario like that cattail marsh underwater that's got some brush out there and it's got the spot to put it, and you know that's going to be a good spot. You still
Mm-hmm.
got to know a lot about bedding, but unless you have that perfect scenario, it's a pretty difficult task.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like I said before, I mean, if you think about the tamarack swamp I was talking about, bucks bed everywhere in there, beds everywhere, right?
mm-hmm.
Still, we're killing the big bucks, the mature ones, in specific key areas that are small, right?
Yep.
So you can have thousands and thousands of beds out there that no buck ever beds in there after a certain age.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what people are creating. You'll get deer to bed there. I mean, you could literally go in the woods and dig dirt and turn it over. And trust me, you can put a camera over. Try this. Dig dirt and put it over. If it's a halfway decent spot, a deer will start bedding there.
Yeah.
Put a camera over there and look at the size of the deer
Right. Right.
because they like that fresh dirt.
I'm just imagining in my head people like building these real nice like dog houses on pallets for deer and floating them out in the marsh for the deer. If you want to watch another video, click right here. But don't forget to subscribe before you leave.